Hi Fam Bam, welcome to Minimalist Monday. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to stop the excess. If you've decluttered your home and you feel amazing in your space and you're noticing there's this little cycle of accumulation going on, I hope this video is here to help you. So we're just going to get right to it. Number one is stop the buying. You have to be really conscious about what you bring in. You've spent all this time to make space and just have a great environment and it feels really good, but it's really easy to just fall back without thinking into our buying habits, thinking that we need extra face cream or looking at something that looks really nice and wanting to give it a try. And the truth of the matter is we really just have to stop the buying. You have to stop the cycle and cut the cord. When I first started my journey of intentional minimalism or simplifying the excess, I had to play this game with myself, which is, can I really live without it? Sometimes I would think that I need something and I would give myself a certain amount of time to try to live without it or find alternative options. More often than not, I can actually live without it or find alternative options. And the way that I stave myself off is creating grocery lists and wish lists, sticking them on there and not worrying about them. If the topic keeps coming up, try to find different alternative solutions before giving in and caving to buying. Also, after you buy the product or the item, you want to really make sure that it is contributing to you positively. And if it's not, then find some place to donate or let it go. Number two, have a place for everything. If your house is simplified and it's decluttered and you have a specific space for specific items, then there shouldn't really be any room to add excess items. A lot of times we get in trouble because we have a lot of storage space or storage units and all the items aren't sitting out. I know my brother gives me a hard time about this a lot because he's into interior design and he says that I could use more storage. But the truth of the matter is I like avoiding storage because I don't like having spaces where things can pile up. I like being able to see most of the things that I'm using so that I'm aware that they're there and I'm reminded of whether or not I'm actually using them and are not just being pushed off out of sight where I can forget about them. So having a space for everything is super helpful, and it leads me to number three, which is if you do get something new, whether it's a gift or you're trying something out or you feel like it's something that you might need, create a space for it or replace it with something that is already in that space, meaning swap it out. Replacement is also a really important step because if you are conscious and looking towards minimalism, essentialism, or simplifying the excess, then it means that you live in one of these abundant worlds, and we're so lucky to be able to have the choice to say no to things and be conscious, because we're not only looking to increase time and energy for ourselves by reducing the excess and taking that time and energy and putting it into things that are more meaningful, but also reducing the waste and the consumption that leans on in the rest of the world and the economy. So the next thing on my list that I have is to use it all the way. We're talking about reducing our waste and reducing our consumption. And sometimes we get items and we're like, oh, like I really wish it could just be more perfect. An example is like my scissors. My scissors work really great, but when I go to the store, there's these like really nice scissors that would not only match my table, but they look like they're in amazing condition, heavy duty, like et cetera, et cetera. They're not serrated like my scissors. I love them. They're really great. They're super great for utility and there's nothing wrong with them. So there's no need to get these new scissors just because they're bright and shiny. There's always going to be something bright and shiny and new that you want to replace it with. Another example of this is Whole Foods one time had these trial size face washes that I wanted to just give a try because this lady was raving about it. And when I took it home and tried it, I wasn't really impressed. Like I just thought that the sea salt that I use on my face worked a lot better than it. And for some people it might be great, but I wasn't stoked on it and probably won't buy it again. Just because I wasn't stoked on it and I really wanted to go back to my sea salt, I kind of made myself use it all up just to avoid this waste and consumption. Most of the time I try really hard not to replace something or get something new unless it's used up or it's broke. And that's a tough thing, especially when it comes to clothes for myself, because I've got clothes that kind of pill or there's a little hole on the side and I'm like, it's a perfectly good item and it's really hard not to just want to hold on to it just in case I need like a worn out shirt to like paint or go do something dirty outside. I mean, I'm just like thinking about that. It sounds so funny, but at the same time, you don't want to waste it. So I try really hard to use things up and to use them all the way and to just feel like they were just well loved, and then to continue by donating it to people who are in need and putting it someplace where it's actually going to get used. Sometimes we'll take old t-shirts, cut them up, make some rags out of them. They make nice dusting cloths, nice things to clean the windows with, and they also make great napkins and handkerchiefs, old t-shirts. So doing things in consciousness with intentionality is really the way to go. And with that being said, the last thing on my list is to have regular inventory check or regular decluttering sessions. Now, I did mention this in ways that you're doing minimalism wrong. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it below. The ways that you could be doing minimalism wrong is you're accumulating a lot of this stuff just to go through this cycle of accumulate and declutter again, accumulate and declutter again. And that feels really good to our progress sheet, or feeling like we're being successful at something because we're decluttering all the time and it feels good all the time, but it doesn't reduce the same amount of time and energy that we're looking to save by actually staying intentional about stopping the excess. And in another backwards motion, it does contribute to the consumption and waste cycle, because you're continuing to consume things, bring them in, and then shovel them out, bring them in, shovel them out. So when it comes to decluttering, it's not about using this to create space to fill it with more and get in this trap. You really want to do it to stop and say, hey, can I live with less, or has my lifestyle changed, and do certain items that served me 6 months ago or 12 months ago serve me today still? And having that consciousness and awareness all the time is what's going to help you stop the excess and the accumulation and stay intentional all the time. And eventually it just becomes habitual. It doesn't take all this action and forethought. It just is this thing that happens regularly, and you sort of feel it out, kind of like when you know your floors have to be mopped. I don't know, some people like to schedule that out. I guess every week you could mop the floors, but for us, we're like, hey, the floors need cleaned, which is almost every day. I can feel it at the bottom of my feet, and that's when we decide to do something about it. So what are ways that you take action to stop the excess, to stop the accumulation cycle from rolling? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. If you liked this video, let me know by hitting thumbs up. I hope you guys are having a happy Monday. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk about how to create a life worth living by simplifying your internal and external spaces. My name is MJ. I'll see you guys back here for Healthy Hump Day and more.